My name is Kira Hamilton. In 2023, I bought a laundromat for $190,000. In 16 months, I generated $285,000 in revenue and then sold the business for $300,000. Within 2 months of listing my business for sale, I had over 200 potential buyers reach out. In that time, I learned a ton about what it takes to sell a business and what it takes to be a good buyer. In this video, I'm going to share 5 lessons I learned from selling my laundromat. I'll give you tips for how you can stand out from the crowd, be taken seriously by sellers, and actually close on your first business acquisition. Lesson number 1, listing sites can be legitimate ways to buy and sell businesses. A lot of times people will ask me what tips I have for finding businesses to buy, and they'll say, I know that BizQuest and BizBuySell are only bottom of the barrel listings. I'm not even looking there. And I can just speak from my experience. I found my laundromat on BizBuySell, and I also sold it through BizBuySell. So not to say that all of the listings on there are great, but it's been a successful strategy for me, both buying and selling, and I recommend including it in your search. So look at listing sites and also do direct outreach and also network with business brokers. Lesson number 2, when you're selling a business, there are a lot of time wasters. There are time wasters who are just not serious, who are unprepared, or who are just plain rude. I had people in their initial outreach message to me say, why is your business priced so high? Shouldn't it be at a lower multiple? And I'm like, how is that your strategy for getting my attention? How do you think that's gonna make me wanna talk to you? This is what you've gotta keep in mind. Buying a business is not like buying a used car. Look, there's nothing wrong with negotiating. Of course you should try to negotiate. Try to get the best deal for yourself possible, but don't start with lowballing or haggling. Good negotiations begin with trust and building rapport. I know as a seller, I am a lot more likely to want to negotiate with you, to want to give you a good deal if I see you as being a good operator, if I like you, if I see something about myself in you, I'm going to want to give you a better deal. You want to start with introducing yourself. Why are you interested in this business? Get to know the seller. Why are they selling? What have they enjoyed about operating the business? What's been challenging about it? You don't want to come in hot, already insulting them in some way, saying, I think that this is overvalued before I've even got into understanding it. People who did that was an immediate no, I didn't even follow up. And then you have some people who just aren't serious. You know, these are people who heard about buying a laundromat online and they just want to talk for an hour about this grand plan they have to buy 5 laundromats in the next year, but then they won't even show me their proof of funds. How can I take you seriously? How can I even know that you're able to execute? And then you have people who just aren't prepared. I had these 2 guys who were interested in buying my laundromat. They did show proof of funds. I shared my data room, and it was a pretty extensive data room. I had a 30-minute video where I gave an overview of the operations. I had my tax returns, I had financials, I had a complete equipment list. And then one day I'm at my laundromat and these guys just show up out of the blue and they start asking me questions. And the first thing that they ask is, how many machines are there? And I'm thinking like, I sent you the equipment list and also just like look around. If you're gonna ask me dumbass questions, how am I supposed to take you seriously? That really shows me that either 1, you didn't look at the data room, or 2, you're just thinking so much about the basics of the business that you're not getting to deeper operations. They didn't ask me, anything really in depth, questions that would show that they're taking it seriously. And when they ended up submitting an offer, I didn't accept it because I didn't take them seriously as operators. I couldn't envision them really running the business. Even though there were a number of people I interacted with in the process of selling my laundromat that clearly were not a good fit, there were a lot of great potential buyers too. And what I learned is it's really not that hard to be a good buyer. As a seller, I was ultimately looking for 2 things. 1, do I believe in your capability to actually execute on this transaction? And 2, can I envision you as a good operator for this business? The people who I was seriously considering selling to and the person that I ultimately sold to had some things in common. First off, they showed respect to me and my business and what I had built. They took time to really understand the operations of the business and think carefully about whether or not this was a project they were ready and excited to take on. They asked good questions. They weren't just asking things that were easily answered by looking in the data room. They were asking questions that showed they had seriously thought about it. They were asking, what kind of problems do you have with your pickup and delivery system? What do you do when this happens? What do you do when this happens? How do you deal with customer complaints? What ideas do you have about how to grow it? They showed that they were really thinking about how they would come in and move forward with the business. They were transparent and reliable, and they communicated well. When I emailed them, they would get back to me quickly. They were easy to talk to. And this leads me to another lesson that I learned. The person you are selling a business to is going to become your business partner. Now, that business partnership is going to last for a relatively short period of time, for the period it takes to sell the business and then the training period after, but that's a really important period of time. You want to work with someone who you can trust, because once you've got lawyers and CPAs involved, things can get complicated in a business transaction. You're likely to run into a problem at some point. You want to work with someone who you know is going to be transparent, who's going to be easy to work with, who's going to get back to you quickly and make the overall process of selling your business as smooth as possible. Even after the training period is done, there are going to be little things that come up. Issues with utilities companies, mail that goes to the wrong place. I guarantee there are going to be things that you need from your buyer or your seller even months after the training period is over. So when you're presenting yourself as a buyer, you want to show through your words and your actions that you are a good person to do business with. Because ultimately, business is about people. This is something I think a lot of people overlook or don't understand about business. Business is personal. When you are going to a seller and talking to them about buying their business, you are talking to them about taking over something that they've worked really hard at, that they've put their heart and soul into, they've put their time, money, and effort into. And it's really important that you remember that. People want to do business with people that they like. People want to sell their business to someone that they like and someone they can imagine as an operator, someone who's going to treat their employees well and treat their customers well and continue the legacy that they've built. The sooner you can really internalize this, the sooner you're going to be successful. The more you can be people-focused, focused on your employees, focused on your customers, the more you're going to be able to drive your profit. So the big takeaway is, if you want to be taken seriously as a buyer, be transparent. Ask questions that show that you're really thinking this through and that you're capable of being a good operator. Really try to understand the seller and understand their business. Show respect to them and what they've built. And you're gonna get a lot farther if you're likable. If you're serious about buying a business and you want to use an SBA loan to do so, let's work on getting you pre-qualified. Check out the links in my show notes to see how you can get in touch with me and chat about your business acquisition plan.